Hi, my name is Dr. Emma and I'm the co-founder of the House of Medics. I'm also working as a dermatology doctor in Southwest London. And today I'm going to talk about a topic that for unknown and ununderstandable reasons has become a taboo topic within the medical community, and that is money. So this whole video is about why medics need to start talking more about money and stop pretending like it's not important, because it definitely is. So I'm going to talk about the reasons why money is needed, which of course sounds so elementary and almost a bit stupid, but I'm going to talk about that. I'm also going to talk about the fact, the experiences that we have that mean that, it's important for us to actually have these conversations and to not ignore the role of finances in our lives as medics. And yeah, just encourage you as always, as I always try to do on these videos. So first of all, the first reason why medics need to start talking about money is because money is needed. And I know, like I said, it sounds really stupid. I'm not trying to be patronizing. I'm not taking the mick, but money is needed. And I feel like there is, throughout medical school, of course, we go to medical school for 5 or 6 years, depending on where you go. Some people do a foundation year, whatever. In general, and sorry, just to also make it clear, I'm not just talking about doctors. I'm talking about all healthcare professionals, nurses, and everything else. At no point is financial literacy brought into what we study. And I always say that when you decide to become a doctor or a nurse or whatever, in this country, you're not really just picking a degree. And for those of us that became medical students, we really had to decide probably age 16, because we then had to cater our A-levels towards medicine and cater everything else. And sorry, I always revert back to medicine because of course I'm a doctor, but I am talking about all healthcare professions within the UK. So yeah, within the UK, when you choose to become a nurse or a doctor or a physiotherapist or a midwife or a dentist, whichever, you don't just choose your degree. So you don't just choose what you're going to be doing for the next 3 or 5 or 6 years, but you also choose your employer, you choose your career, and you choose basically what you're going to be doing for the next 10 years at least, if you follow the expected trajectory. And I think that's great. That's actually one of the big pros about medicine. There's a lot of job security. You can sort of imagine in your mind where you're going to be in the next 10 years or so. But the problem is that I've made this big decision that's basically probably, like I said, at the age of maybe 16 or 17 or maybe even 15, I've made this decision that I want to become a doctor, and I've literally declared my next at least 10 years. And at no point during those 10 years does anyone talk to me about financial literacy, about how to manage money, about the importance of money, and where to direct it, etc., etc. And of course, once you become a doctor, your salary is fixed. If you're a doctor within the NHS, your salary is fixed for however number of years until you then progress to whatever level of medicine you go to, as an SHO or registrar or whatever. You can predict what you're going to be earning for the next few years if you don't think of an alternative means of income. And I think that this is something that should definitely be communicated and spoken about more, because money is needed. You need money to, of course, you need money to eat, to live well, to look after yourself. And these things are so key, especially when you're working within healthcare, because you spend your whole working life caring for others. So when it now comes time to caring for yourself, you need that disposable income. And I think medics are probably some of the more lucky, in terms of doctors, we're some of the more lucky healthcare professionals. But we've all heard the stories of nurses that have to get food from food banks because their salary doesn't allow them to even buy enough food to be sustainable. People who can't pay for their children to go to nursery. It's insane that we will go to university to become professionals, to become respected members of our community, and then we spend our whole working life caring for others. And NHS workers sacrifice a lot. We all stay late, we all work through our breaks. I don't think there's anyone that can't say that NHS workers don't deserve more money. We all sacrifice, and then still we can't do basic things like send our children to nursery or, have the number of meals, the right number of meals, the right amount of food that we should have. Is insane. So it makes no sense that all these universities produce these excellently educated and professional people that at no point are we shown how to, create passive income, or how to create alternative means of income, or how to, sort out your finances. It just makes no sense. And to the point where it's almost a taboo in medicine. So probably the easiest example I can give is for locums. So medics, pharmacists, lots of different types of healthcare professionals do locum shifts. So that's where either your main job, or sometimes it's in addition to your main job, like a side job, you will go to another hospital or within your own hospital to do extra shifts, because there are always job vacancies in the NHS. So let's say if I'm working 9 to 5 in my role at the hospital, on a Saturday I might do an extra locum shift or a bank shift, which is what a lot of people call it as well. I might do a bank shift to get some extra money. And I've heard stories of doctors being told that they're unprofessional for negotiating their rate. So I'm coming in on my day off to help the department, and I'm not even allowed to say how much I'm worth, and it's seen as taboo to even discuss the rate that you want to get for working on your day off. I think that's insane, and people may say that I'm unprofessional for saying this, but I don't think it is. I think if I work very hard, and if I'm sacrificing time that I don't need to be at work to come in to help the department when they're low, I should be able to negotiate my rate. And I don't think that other industries, we don't look down on workers from other industries for negotiating the rate for which they want to be paid. But it's just so taboo in medicine. And I think that's just such a simple example of how money is viewed within the healthcare industry. And I don't think that should be the case. I know there's a lot of attachment to the NHS that goes into that. I know in a lot of other countries where they have private healthcare systems, that's not the case. But of course we do love the NHS, and we know that resources are finite, but at the same time, people should feel like the work that they're doing is worthwhile, and if they're using extra time to offer extra hours, they should feel able to negotiate their rates. So that's one example, and I think that's definitely something that we need to change within the healthcare profession, that people should be allowed to, state what they think they are worth and negotiate. And let's just talk about money. I don't know why we send people to medical school for 5 whole years and no one comes in and tells them about, how to understand your paycheck, how to understand taxes, pensions, investments. Why don't we tell medical students about how to invest so that they can be creating passive income? And of course we see so many people leaving the NHS now, going to other countries, and of course one of those reasons is they know that they can earn more money elsewhere doing the same work, or probably even working less sometimes, and because we just refuse to address those things in the UK, we're losing so many healthcare professionals who are just deciding, well, I'm not going to stay here and be burnt out and still not have enough money to do what I want to do. And it's quite unfair. The second reason why it's really unfair is that we all leave university with debt. No one told me that my student loan the interest on my student loan is going to be basically the same as what I pay back every month. So you really feel like you're never really paying it off, because the interest is just so high. No one discusses these things. No one talks about, the best strategy for paying off your student loan. So it's like we bill our students, we allow them to leave university with this massive debt. At least when I went to university, it was $3,000 a year. Of course, now it's $9,000. So we're getting our students loans. They're racking up these massive amounts of debt, and at no point during the process do we have, one lecture in 5 years that talks about how the student finance system works, what you can expect to pay back and when, and if you want to reduce the term of how to pay it back, reduce the amount of interest that you're going to pay, are there strategies for doing that? Are there better ways of investing your money to allow you to pay your loan, sooner? These are things that are just not talked about, and I think it's absolutely insane and quite unfair. I think we do our young people a disservice when we put them in these positions of being in debt without actually speaking to them about what it will mean for them however many years down the line. Even as I sit here, I don't know what it will mean for me, maybe in 20 years with regards to my student loan. You just see the money coming out of your paycheck every month without having an understanding of it. Another reason medics need to start talking about money is because we keep saying that the NHS, we're running on finite resources, and no one talks about it. So I'm really privileged to have done an intercalated degree in management. And during that year, the year that I took out medicine to do that degree in management, I learned about like health economics. I learned about how to manage a healthcare system, inventory and things like that. But people really have no idea how the NHS runs in terms of its finances. They have no idea in terms of budgeting, and even that course I did, I feel like I have a very basic understanding. There's still so much that I don't get. And us as the people that work in the system, as the custodians of the system, we need to understand, how the money is spent. The NHS wastes so many resources. So a very simple example would be, doctors that order blood tests for our patients every day. A lot of the time, our patients don't need blood tests every single day. When they're out of that period of being acutely unwell, we don't need to send blood tests every day, but people don't even know how much money we're spending. So every single investigation we order for a patient, us as the doctors, actually you'd be surprised to know that we don't have a clue. We're just ordering the investigations, not knowing how much it's causing the NHS. And imagine how many patients are in one hospital, and then imagine how many hospitals are within London, or how many hospitals are within the UK, and that just racks up. You can imagine how much resources are wasted and how much money is wasted because we don't really have an understanding of, how best to ration the resources as the people that are working in the system. It's just insane. It makes no sense. We keep talking about how we need to save the NHS, we need to make sure the NHS is functioning, but we're literally sometimes throwing money out the window without a care in the world. Doesn't make any sense. I've worked in a few hospitals, I think maybe just 1 or 2 hospitals, where when you order the investigation, the price of the investigation is on the computer screen. So let's say I'm ordering a full blood count, it costs maybe £3.20, I don't know, whatever. But those things help to increase awareness, just to know, okay, well, maybe I don't need that blood test because when I did it yesterday, it was normal. It's unlikely that it's going to be abnormal today. And like I said, that's just a small example, but how much does a CT scan cost? How much does an MRI scan cost? How much does an invasive procedure like a lumbar puncture cost? So I think that if we were generally talking about money more, at least we would have more of an understanding of how to help the NHS not be so stuck for finances and so short on resources. I know, please don't get me wrong, I'm not naive. I know that the investigations and the things that doctors do is a very, very small drop in the ocean when it comes to the finances of our healthcare system. But of course, it plays an important role, and it just doesn't make sense that we as medics don't understand the money and the cost of running the system that we work in every single day. People talk about how much an ICU bed costs. These are things that we need to talk about more because it helps. It helps to put things in perspective, and ultimately it will make us better managers, better clinicians, better leaders, because this is the system that we work in. Lastly, and I think I did touch on this shortly, I think it's so important that we acknowledge that people need to enjoy themselves. Those of us that have become healthcare professionals obviously have a desire to help people, otherwise we would not be able to thrive in our careers. So, we find satisfaction in the fact that we listen to patients, that we help them. I still think nurses are some of the most amazing human beings in the world, and I see them sacrificing so much and doing so much for patients every day when, maybe I'm off doing something else. But, if we keep expecting people to go out of their way, and when I say people, I mean healthcare professionals, we keep expecting them to go out of their way to do the best for their patients. We always say patients come first, make sure we do right by our patients. But at the end of the day, that person doesn't have the ability to buy themselves something nice or go on holiday when they want to. How is that going to create a sustainable system? How are we going to be able to retain our healthcare workers and retain the attitude that we want healthcare workers to have for their patients? So, we're always expecting ourselves as healthcare workers to pour into other people, but if we don't have the resources to look after ourselves, the system is just not, we're not going to get the best out of people. And that's why you end up seeing, things like what happened in Mid Staffordshire when they were saying that, patients weren't given water and things. I don't think any healthcare professionals goes into their profession thinking that they could ever get to that point, but people were so stressed, so burnt out, that basic patient needs weren't taken care of. You've got to wonder, would that person have been more able to help others if they were more looked after, if they felt that they had more resources and more rest to be able to do what they need to do. So I hope I've sufficiently argued my case. I would really love to see finances spoken about more in medical school, literally from the beginning of medical school throughout. And like I said, in the same with all other courses, for pharmacists, for midwives, for even healthcare assistants, those things you don't need to go to university for. Can we speak about money more? Can we increase our financial literacy? Can we also find ways of understand financial markets so that we can also have means of other alternative means of income available to us, so that we can produce, better cared for healthcare professionals, more knowledgeable healthcare professionals, and ultimately help the system to actually thrive. Let me know what you think. Drop a few comments. Let me know if you agree, if there's anything that I didn't say as well that you think is important. But I definitely feel like we need to do this more as medics. And I hope that things change in the future. And that even if we have more discussions amongst ourselves, hopefully that will penetrate, over the years until it's become less of a taboo and much more commonplace. So yeah, drop a comment, let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next video.